Introduce the panel that I'm slightly nervous about because I've asked to be included now, so we're going to see what happens. My name is Matt Coyne, I'm from Waves Connect. I'm hosting your stage today, and we'll be introducing the panel that's coming up. Before we begin, can we do a thank you? I say can we? Can you all get up and cheer for Choose to Rent? They're down the front, they're the headline sponsor for the event. We could start a Mexican wave as we go through. I knew I would be nervous of this session and what might happen next. For your listening pleasure, you've got your headphones by Silent Seminars. There are multiple languages, so we have French, Spanish, and German. If you need one of those, go see Meg in the blue shirt, and she can give you the other headphones. We've also got closed captions on here, so if you need to see them, I would suggest sitting on this side. Finally, if you have any questions at any point, you can scan the QR code over there, or go to pigeonhole.at and enter the code ETL2023. Ask your questions, and I'm going to try and interrupt them throughout the session to bring that and make that, dare I say it, more lively. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce Nick Dugdale-Moore, Regional Director of Europe at UFI, who's going to introduce the rest of the session.
Thanks, Matt. So if I can invite you to take a chair. So Matt asked me to make this very interactive today. So firstly, I've invited him to be on the panel. He's done no prep whatsoever. And second, Matt, I've got this xylophone for you, because we actually need to sort of swap around the presentations at some point. So while I'm swapping over, if you could play like a little jingle. Is that right? Thank you. And then also maybe at moments of like dramatic tension, you could play a sort of noise. So let's see if it's working. Okay. Perfect. All right. So thank you. So I guess to start with, to introduce my panel panelists. So my name's Nick Dugdale-Moore. I work with UFI. UFI is the Global Association for the Exhibition Industry. So if you're like the AEO in the UK, we're the international version. So our members are 70% exhibition organisers, 30% exhibition venues, and about 20% either suppliers or national and regional exhibition associations. So what do? We do what most trade bodies do. We represent the industry. We do a lot of education, a lot of research, but really, I guess it's the sort of the network of the UFI network that provides most value to our members. So similar to the AEO, we also have a digital innovation working group, which I work on. And among what we do is an annual award, which showcases best practice from digital innovation from around the world. So we ran it this year, and what we want to show to you today is our 5 finalists. So we had about, well, I'll talk to you in a second, but hopefully this will give you an idea of what people are doing around the world. We'd love to get some questions and feedback from you as well. But I think now I'd like to introduce the fellow panelists. So Katie on my left. Hello, Katie.
Hello, my name is Katie Whatley. I'm Group Head of Marketing at Explori. I've been in the exhibition industry for around 17, 18 years, working with Nick at Reed Exhibitions for a little bit. And Easy Fairs, and prior to working at Explori, I worked with event technology companies to help run their marketing and comms campaigns.
Hi everyone, Mykyta Fastovets. I'm the co-founder and CTO at ExpoPlatform. We have an end-to-end platform that focuses on providing technology for B2B exhibitions. I also sit on the Digital Innovation Working Group at UFI. And excited about all things technology.
Shall I introduce myself again?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. For those that missed it, I'm Matt Coyne. I'm actually hosting the stage today, but now involved in this session and also playing the xylophone, which I haven't done for roughly 35 years.
Perfect.
So we'll see what happens.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, so just to introduce you to, these were the judges. These are the people that sit on our Digital Innovation Working Group at UFI. You can see it's chaired currently by Stefan Forsai from Easy Fairs, who was on the main stage yesterday. Brilliant presentation about AI. If you missed it, surely it's available online by now already. Yes. And you can see, look, various members. I'm not going to introduce them all, but these are the judges. We had about 40 entrants. It's the most popular award at UFI from around the world. We whittled it down to 5. So the topic this year was digital innovation that delivers a business impact. Now, we obviously launched this at the end of last year. Now, at the end of 2022, the pandemic was still very much into play. It was China was still having trouble, highlighting their events, and everybody else. now you can see we're very much back to live, and that's amazing. But like at the end of last year, it was a different picture. So if you can put that against the context of when we launched this this award. So we were asking people, there's a lot of event technology. You can see many wonderful examples here. But at the end of the day, you're competing for budget from your organizers, whether that's in marketing, whether that's in operations, whatever it is. What are you going to cut to get that new shiny thing? So we wanted to see examples that actually would deliver a business impact, deliver something to the bottom line. So these are the questions we asked. What drove you to do it? What were the main objectives? What were the added services, etc.? We had obviously a judging criteria, pretty straightforward. And here we go. So these were the finalists that we came up with, and we're just going to talk for a couple of minutes about each one. And again, if you have any questions or any suggestions, please do scan the QR code that Matt put up. Before we start, I guess it'd be interesting to know who you are. So hands up here, who's an organizer? Quite a lot of you. Is any venues? No venue. Oh, one venue. Which venue? The Bellagio. We'll get it anyway. We'll find out. And any suppliers? A couple of suppliers. Okay. And are there any exhibitors here from this show, from Event Tech Live, and the rest of you are visitors? Okay. Perfect. So our first entry, just to run through it, and hopefully we've done the slides right, DLG Exhibition and Events is one of the larger independent, quasi-independent Chinese organizers. They organize 5 conferences, the World Artificial Intelligence Conference, WAC, as they call it. So basically, I guess, we were organizing during the pandemic virtual events. Now, for event organizers, as you found out, it's a completely different skill, very, very challenging. But, and now we are on the other side, we're looking at hybrid. Is hybrid the answer? I don't know what they're doing today around hybrid. But this, surely on the monumental scale, was impressive. So I think they had about 600,000 physical visitors to their 5 shows, but they also had 1.5 billion online interactions. They included AR and virtual reality. So I guess the AR was around, if you're familiar with virtual tours of venues, imagine that on steroids. And then AR, imagine Pokemon Go, so different locations around Shanghai, key locations, they had functionality. So I'll just talk a little bit more, and then I'll ask the panel to talk about it. In terms of what they did for exhibitors was, again, pretty amazing. So there was live streaming, there was live forums, there was the access to an e-commerce enterprise solution, one-click ordering. So amazing what they did for their visitors, and obviously access this 1.5 billion market. So, a massive event. So I guess first, just to come to you, Mykyta, as one of the judges, what impressed you about this one particularly?
It was a couple of things, really. I think one was to see a practical... We've talked about AR and VR for years now, right? And to see it really be implemented for a real event, and at that scale, I think was quite impressive. The other impressive thing was the number of different touch points and activations that they had throughout. So you mentioned some of them, but they also had a virtual world essentially where it was kind of gamified and the world evolved as as various users interacted with it. So they really kind of took it to the next level in terms of the approach and the ambition, and that was quite exciting to see. And then the numbers, I think, were also very impressive. They were kind of pretty much beyond anything we've ever seen anywhere else. That level of engagement with kind of AR and VR, was kind of off the charts. So I think those were the most impressive things for me.
Okay, and Katie, because you mentioned we worked at Reed, and then you've obviously been at Easy Fairs, so you've gone from the organizer side to the dark side, to the supplier side. Just kidding. But for you, we had a chat about this. Hybrid. Where do you stand on sort of live hybrid?
Yeah, so I think actually yesterday I was sharing this stage, and there was quite a few sessions on hybrid, and I think there's still so many people that are quite scathing about hybrid events. But one of the mic drop moments for me yesterday was Stefan Barnett he's the head of Zoom events, and he had some amazing stats in his presentation about how Gen Z interact online, and it made me think about how actually we think about hybrid events as organisers are a certain age, the decision makers. Oh no, rubbish, people love to get back to in-person events. That's true. But what about the generations coming behind us that actually interact more online? They're so much used to it being online, and I think it was something, you had a stat about 23% of Gen Z, people trust their connections more online than they do in real life. I mean, that's pretty amazing stat. So I think, for me, it's interesting. I think it's more of a marketing technique to have a hybrid. So your event in person is for your events team, but your marketing team have the content, have the legacy, have the greater brand awareness of being online. So actually, it's beyond. I think it's got more life in it than just, oh, it was nice for a pandemic and now we're through it. I think it's here to stay. It might be the QR code,
But sorry, to pin you back to the question, live or hybrid, even the Gen Z, they want to meet, right? So if you look at League of Legends, or they have the Pokemon Go World Championships here at XL, I know because I came with my son, they want to get together those communities to meet live. So, I think they put all their, they took over the whole of XL. It was very impressive. And there were thousands and tens of thousands of people here. I'm not sure, can you serve two masters at the same time? Can you do a live event and simultaneously do, serve an online community with the same content?
Yeah, it's expensive and you need resources to do it, but I think for many brands, it's very valuable. There's value in there of serving an international audience.
Can I just support you, Katie, on that? Because I think that if you mentioned League of Legends specifically, and what they have got these like LCS tournaments and all the things around it, and they have a massive online following, right? So that meeting is actually the result of a big existing online community and following that they already have. Just to support what you do. I don't think the model that we've had with hybrid before really ticked any of the boxes. We need to keep it from falling asleep.
Was that Nick? Or?
But I think the idea of hybrid itself, we just haven't got to the point where we really know what we're doing with it. But we've got the means to do things. We just haven't figured out what's the right model.
Okay, Matt.
Yet.
Live hybrid. Where are you on all of this?
I mean, is live hybrid? Is it at the same time, or is it something that lasts a lot longer than that event? Hybrid, like you were saying, in the pandemic, everyone was trying to do everything all at once.
So, Matt, can you hold your microphone a bit closer?
It's been a long morning. So whether or not it's on the same day or carrying all that content or whatever the engagement part of the community that they're developing or building and carrying on year round, I think that's probably more the question. Like my point is, if I was trying to do that, I don't have two heads. I can't do those two things at the same time. What I can do is capture all the lovely content that's being shared here, and for the next year, repurpose that and put that out into the community in a different way. So live and hybrid for me is how you extend the life of the event.
Absolutely, for sure. I guess, at the end of the day, that's the million-dollar question. For 20 years that we've been in the exhibition industry, it's like, how do you extend it? How do you monetize it beyond those 3 days or whatever is your trade show? I mean, does anyone in the audience, I may just pick on you, sir, because I know we have Greg, the CEO of Terrapin, a major international organizer. Where do you stand on live and hybrid?
I think there's a kind of a philosophical question here, because if you're running a live event, you are wanting people to come to the event. You're wanting people to attend. But if you're saying, oh, it's available on hybrid, at the same time, you're saying, oh, no, you don't need to bother. You can stay home in your kitchen and participate. This, to me, is a bit of a conflict. And, of course, the other thing, in terms of what we do, it's so very expensive, and we just would not consider it.
I'd like to a point kind of almost against that, and I know how you've done things, but there was an event last week where my child was sick in the morning and I couldn't go to the event. I could tune in online and still felt part of that, because then in some friends' WhatsApp groups we were chatting about it. So I understand that you want them to come through the door, but for me, who suddenly couldn't go, I could take part in that same day in that same experience.
Yeah, no, fair point. I guess, to what you mentioned, Greg, to a degree, you can get the value online. And we did a lot of research. We do a lot of research every year. We do some with Explori. We have Chloe and Katie here on looking at visitors and exhibitors, and very much content side of things, fine. You can get, we're now used to digesting content online. But obviously, networking, business opportunities, checking out the competition, etc. All these really important measurements. People hated, and like from the beginning, they really hated virtual, and it just did not work. So a conference, sure, maybe go online. A trade show, an exhibition, definitely not. And again, to be fair, everything we're talking about today is really related to B2B trade shows. That's sort of our world. So if anyone here is some other kind of organizer, there's a good... Great.
I mean, I think your last point is a very important point. I mean, from what I can see, and we did a lot of virtual events, it ended up being pretty damn horrible. And I haven't seen anyone recently who said, "Oh, give me more virtual." No.
Fair enough. Okay, so before we move on, is there anyone in the audience that has any strong feelings about this? Go on. Who's going to stick up for virtual? Have we got any virtual? No. Any pure? Right, so that was the first one. I mean, coincidentally, they were all quite different. So the second one, very different.
I love this.
Katie loves this.
I'm a big fan.
So this is Lionel. This is an autonomous floor marking robot. So it wasn't new in the sense that the technology existed. Stockholm Messe had one maybe like 10 years ago even, but it was sort of built for their venue. And this company, which is based out of Hong Kong, built one a few years ago, but they had to come to your venue, they had to sort of program it in. You took a CAD file, which is obviously your bread and butter, but then, it was quite cumbersome and you needed a sort of PhD to kind of figure it out. So last year, they put it as a web solution. It's much, the robots can be autonomous. You literally, anybody with no training, any of your ops people can just plug it in. If you add two robots, before you had to break the CAD into two, now it just kind of does it automatically. Really, at the end of the day, how does it save you money? Well, they reckon that if it took three people, a large German show that they piloted it on, 3 people, 3 days to mark the floors, it took 2 robots 10 hours. So in Germany, with the labor cost, that was a 50% saving. In Scandinavia, they reckon it was 60 to 70%. In China, I think the people are still winning in terms of cost for the moment. But we'll see. Being China, I'm sure they'll have their own fleet of robots soon. So yeah, and in fact, and another secondary benefit was that people, we have no carpet here. Obviously, net zero and being more sustainable in general is a big agenda, and this helps you in that. And in fact, Excel London were the first people that they were trialing Lionel, and they saw that the markings were so neat and the numbers were so neat, they thought, actually, we don't need carpet. We're happy to go carpetless. So obviously, that is a huge saving, both financially and in terms of resources. So Katie felt this is Katie's favourite. Katie feels passionately about
anybody who's ever done mark out for an exhibition venue will know this is the best thing ever. I'm sorry, but it really is. But I think the point here is that it's so rare to see a technology that's developed for operational delivery. So many of the technology platforms here, or software solutions, are marketing driven, or virtual events, or registration, that sort of thing. It's very rare to see an operational technology, and I really love this. I think it saves people time. It's seen a problem, it's solved it. It's great, and I think the numbers in terms of price, I think the numbers were not. I think they were really reasonable.
They didn't really answer it properly, but I think I do know that now Excel. I checked before I came on, and Excel, was it a one-time wonder? But they've actually bought 6 of them. So I think you lease them. So I'm not sure if they leased them or bought them, but there are 6 in operation at Excel. So you literally can't say fairer than that.
Yeah, and I think if you speak to operational teams, they are the last people to get technology budget. It always goes through to marketing people or a commercial delivery. It's very rare that you look to solve an operations problem with technology and they get budget for that without having to fight for it. So I'm big on Lionel. I think he's great.
Thank you. Dr. Mykyta?
Thanks. So I think with this one, what I found really exciting is, you've said it before that robots have been around for a while. They've been able to do this sort of thing for a while. But the scale of the undertaking here, is massive in that when you're trying to move from kind of a particular problem, like you said, in Sweden they've had a robot for 10 years, but to solve a general problem from like a specific one, that's a big step up, right? So what these guys have done is something that will work for any venue. It's not trained on one venue, it will work for anyone. It's also been moved to a place where, you don't need to be a doctor to be able to operate it. You can be just a general user, somebody from the operations team. You upload a CAD file, it runs for you. We talked about some of the CO2 implications of that, right? You don't need necessarily carpet. The marking is done faster as well, so you're saving cost. And because this award was very focused on measurable kind of impact, with this robot, there were so many boxes that were ticked for being able to do that. It was definitely one of the top contenders for us. Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
I mean, it's a cool robot. I don't really have much to add on that.
Okay, then I think it's time for a Matt interlude. Can you play us a little song then? What do you represent the robot in like 9 notes? Okay, beautiful. And actually, so coincidentally, we have, of the 5 finalists, one of them, this one obviously is ops. We have a couple that would help marketing, one that sort of would help sales, and I guess you could argue the first one is more strategic. So do we have anyone here from ops? No. Do we have anyone here from marketing? Yeah. Sales? That's with a hand shoot up. No. And sort of, I guess, general management. So it's sort of a mix. Okay. So moving on to our third finalist was IFEMA Madrid. IFEMA Madrid is the principal trade fair venue and operator and organizer in Spain. So they launched a 365 platform, which was a proprietary community platform for all of their events and all of their marketing portfolio. So at the end of the day, this answered a lot of this helped them in many ways, from a sales point of view to attract more visitors. It helped to get more people into the visitor funnel. In terms of the exhibitors, it helped sell exhibitors into, find and identify and sell exhibitors into different shows of theirs. Obviously, they had the sort of networking and the social media function, and basically across, it was still early days when they entered, but the results of the engagement were pretty good. So we did talk about this already, the 365. How do you engage 365? And in fact, on the session, a couple of sessions ago, Adam from Event Tech Live was talking about they still struggle. I feel like this event has a really good community, and yet even he struggles with his visitors. But the exhibitors he felt was very strong. So if I start with you, Mykyta, what did you like about this one?
So for this one, I think the conversation about communities has been going on in our industry, in the exhibition industry specifically, for some time, right? And it was like the big discussion and the big thing coming out of COVID. How do we leverage everything that we've got online? We talked about the hybrid aspect, and then we kind of started talking about communities being the ability to engage our audiences throughout the year and get value from that. But I think it was really difficult to see live examples of where is that actually adding any value, where is their actual engagement. So one of the interesting things about the IFEMA platform was that the results that they demonstrated showed that there was some engagement from their audience. That engagement may not have been at the level where they thought that was the final achievable point, but it was still good to see them doing that. And then the other thing is they made it kind of agnostic, event platform agnostic, right? So you could run your event tech stack alongside for the face-to-face show, and then plug this in off the back of that to kind of have the community 365 always-on aspect in there. I think those were the main reasons for why it's kind of made it into the top 5 for us. The ability to kind of a real case of a community platform delivering some results.
Thank you. And Katie, from you, you must have a lot of experience, with this going way back. Did you tend to build it yourself? Did you sort of look at third-party solutions? And where do you think it's evolved? Where are we now?
Yeah, we actually, one of the brands that I look after is called Event Leaders Exchange, so ELX, and we have launched a community. It's a long-growing community for senior corporate event leaders, and we have used several community platforms. One of them on the show floor, CrowdComs, and it is a specific platform that you need if you really want to engage people 365. It's a very different platform needed to just running a virtual event. It needs different, people need to be able to log in, access different content at different times. It's a huge undertaking. So, I always recommend, if you can outsource it to somebody who knows what they're doing, trying to rather build it yourself, because technology is always changing. So if you invest in this must have been a huge investment. They've got to continue to develop the product in order to continue to serve their community. So I think I personally would always outsource. So I think it's absolutely amazing that they've done it themselves, that they've seen engagement from it, and I would love to revisit this in a couple of years to see what they've done to continue that engagement and using that platform.
Thank you. And Matt, obviously in a former life, you worked for a company that helped bring in those, the data was the first touch point between the visitor and, the organisers. He was, among other things, a reg company. He was the tech arm of a major contractor. So where do you sit on all of this?
Yeah, I find it fascinating. Also, through the pandemic, we helped build a content portal for a consumer organizer, and itself was fascinating. Like, we had open access to content. They ran huge amount of health and well-being type shows, so you could access pretty much any major speaker that you wanted. So Ranulph Fiennes was a highlight. So you had a plethora of content, but it was trying to find the balance of why you're doing it. Are we trying to use it as a marketing channel for those events? So we're using some of that pre-other event content to drive people back to it? Are we doing it to try and make its own revenue stream because it's a longer investment than here's a show, fill this space, you can probably start making money tomorrow if you did that? So really understanding why one would want to do this is a great place to start. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, for sure. Look, and actually at UFI, we launched a new event and we have a sort of new community, and I want to get the name of your community platform out there. But does anyone here think they've either done it well, they're doing it well currently, they have a really successful... I'd love to hear from anyone.
Feel free to anonymously do it via the app. Just scan the QR code on the,
the
side
if
of the screen.
If you have any questions, this is very informal. You don't need to do that. Even though in a minute I've got my own QR code that I'm going to want you to scan. So get ready. Forget his QR code. Get ready for my QR code. Okay, so number 4, Kohlmesse, which again is one of the major German Messe, so venue and organizer. And they had 2 products, which are, I guess, quite basic. You be the judge, but digital products. So the first was Lead and Meet, which, Mykyta, do you want to explain?
Yeah, happy to explain. So the first product was Lead and Meet. Essentially what they've done is they've packaged deals for exhibitors where what they could do is target location-based targeting of relevant segment of the visitors or buyers. So when they walk in through the door, they would get a push notification telling them that here's an interesting exhibitor for you to visit. And if they interacted with that notification, it would kind of guide them to their stand via navigation. So that was one thing that exhibitors could buy, and that generated new leads. So if I am as a buyer walking into the venue, I may or may not discover an exhibitor. But if I get a push notification, the likelihood of that turned out objectively from the results to be much higher, right? So that was one product.
And the kind of thing was like, hey, have a free cappuccino on us, our CEO is about to present. And it was all geolocated based on their
So the message was built by the exhibitor to entice, obviously, the buyer to come to their booth, whatever that message was. And then the second aspect of what they did was kind of a targeting, also a package that exhibitors could get, was a targeted message after the show. So let's say there was a segment of the audience that you were really interested in, but you didn't really get many of the buyers from that segment coming to your booth. What you could do is send them a post-event follow-up message that was kind of targeted to that audience and get them to re-engage with you after. So that was the second aspect. And that was based on kind of the recommendations engine that they had internally built as well. So, yeah.
Thanks. So Matt, having never seen this slide before just now, but I've seen you did the AEO masterclass for exhibitors, because we kind of know as organizers, I think the research is that 50% still of exhibitors still don't follow up with the leads. They get all these get all these business cards and then woohoo, throw them in the bin and wait for the, so we're really struggling with some basic stuff. And as I say, exhibitor training, and again, what a certain company used to do really well. They did do amazing kind of exhibitor tool, digital exhibitor tools. So something like this, which is very simple when you think about it, and I think they sold it for like €500. And again, it was quite a large show. I think it had about 160,000 visitors, but it did make whatever the revenue was. It's like, okay, times that out, build that out by all of their shows. That's something that is easily sellable for your salespeople to say, add that on.
And I think what I really love about this, it puts a little bit of that onus back on the visitor. So it's not just about the exhibitor doing stuff. If there's a visitor wandering around and you've got a notification, there might be this cool coffee cup company that's relevant to you. Like, that's really useful and helpful to know. Like, through the pandemic, there was a lot of talk about that serendipity or the lack of meeting people at random as you go around. Things like that just help with that experience. So if it puts that control into the individual's hand, and they can also choose what they're doing, they might follow up on that lead afterwards if they didn't get to visit them at the show. So I think it's amazing. It's a really good opportunity.
Nice. Katie?
For me, exhibitors are such an important part of the exhibition ecosystem, and one that we really, really need to support. We've done a lot of work at Explori with the exhibitor advocate this year, and we've done a research piece with them, and demonstrating ROI is the second only challenge to budget pressures. You know, demonstrating it to senior leadership, and we had a session just before this one all around demonstrating event ROI. It's hugely important, and as exhibition organisers, we need to facilitate as many meetings, as many connections, as many leads, and really get on board with helping exhibitors do this. So I think any technology that can bring exhibitors together with quality buyers or quality attendees that be interested in their product, I think is great.
I would just add into this that one of the exciting things about it was that it used location quite well, right? This is one of the more creative ways of using location and navigation type of stuff to really drive some more value to exhibitors who need that value, right? Because they're coming to meet those things. And what you were saying, Matt, that like, you know, one of the things that was missing was serendipity. But then coming out of the pandemic, one of the problems we face is kind of proving the value of exhibitions face to face again, because you know, the exhibitors who are coming to the shows are now much more savvy. They're monitoring things. You know, they want to monitor things in real time. They want to understand what's the value they're getting back from the show, and this really helps give them more of that, essentially.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, heat mapping a location is not new. It's been around for 10 years or more, but again, and there's different ways to do it. People have done wireless, Bluetooth, blah, 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 blah. But again, it's like, okay, that sounds expensive, and it is expensive. So again, what are you going to cut? Whereas, you know, show me how I can make money off it, you know, and then I'll bite your hand off. But they haven't been able to do it. So something, obviously it helps that you're a German Meta, you own the building, you've installed this, you know. So it's difficult in you know, in the UK, who does that lie with? You know, you sort of need Excel to build in the software. But again, when we talk to some exhibitors at UFI, they're saying, well, you know, we go to different trade shows, we exhibit at different trade shows all around the world, and we get different, you know, measurements back. So actually, if you all could sort of work together and we could compare apples to apples and have decent feedback on, you know, visitor behaviour, etc., then yeah, they would pay more for that.
What about the Wi-Fi infrastructure behind all this? I was at a very large show in Vegas earlier this year, not one of ours, but it had, well, large in my eyes, 60,000 people. The cell phones didn't work and there was no Wi-Fi. I asked the organizer, well, why don't you have Wi-Fi? And they said, oh, because the venue is going to charge us $50 per device. 2.5 million in Wi-Fi.
Yeah, we ran an event in Vegas about a week ago, and it's quite expensive. We wanted like, I think 40 flip charts, and they quoted us 17 grand. Well, yeah, obviously that's where your beautiful technology falls down if you can't get everyone on the Wi-Fi. So
I think it helped a lot that they were the venue themselves in this particular case, and so this location technology I don't think relies on Wi-Fi specifically. I think they put RFID type of beacons all over the place. But yeah, you're totally right. It relies on infrastructure to some extent,
but
one way or another.
That's a bigger point on the ecosystem then, right? If the venues and suppliers and the organisers aren't working, you know, if it's prohibitive to help get exhibitors and visitors together, then that's a bigger issue for our wider ecosystem, rather than just, oh well, I can't have it for this event, for our venue, because it's cost prohibitive. Surely that's an ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess one positive of the pandemic is that there's much better collaboration within the industry. You know, it's kind of perceived that there's organizer, venue, supplier, you know, everyone else. And we have to work together, and people have collaborated much more and understand that, you know, we really need to, you know, we need to sort of pull together and work better. And I would say that, you know, the AEO and UFI and other trade bodies, you know, are perfect platforms for that to bring people together. Okay, so before we move on, just is there anything interesting about that image?
Yes, there is one interesting thing about the image. It was generated by Dolly from ChatGPT or OpenAI. And actually, on the next slide, there's another image
So
generated.
I don't know.
completely
I mean,
by
look, Matt, I want that on. I want a musical representation that does that. If you put in leads, a digital lead product at a B2B trade exhibition, does that graphic represent it? Can you answer in sound, please? Answer with music. Ooh,
I mean, if there was an AI for xylophones, if anyone's got that, or could search that up quickly, that would be helpful.
You've got about 3 minutes to look on Google to learn a song. Right, so our fifth finalist, 10 minutes left. Oh my God. So our fifth finalist was QuestX, which is one of the major independent American US organizers, and QActivate. So I guess, Doctor, I will ask you to explain this.
All right. So this is an organizer, and what they've done is they've unified their entire data architecture. So they brought all of their first-party data they collect into one system, under one umbrella, standardize it all, and then what they were able to do across the entire organization, and you will see a little bit later the scale of what we're talking about. It's about 65 events, 150 websites roughly or so. So they brought all of that information together, and what they're able to do is kind of align their digital products with everything that they learn about this centralized, from the centralized database. So it's, and then that drives the engagement throughout the year with all the digital products, and not just digital products that they have for that audience. So what that enables them to do is target things very highly. I want to say that this is something that we talk about a lot as an industry, but no one's really doing it. And this was one example of an organizer doing that, and really doing that at scale, essentially. And it's very exciting. For me, it was very exciting to see.
Yeah, and I guess in a practical, the example we have on stage, so they had different media, they had different, community websites or whatever, different events, and they would look at, it would automatically be identified what are hot topics, for example, what are trending search terms, would automatically build out content for the event, and then it would, again, automatically look for speakers for those events. So again, from a marketing and a content perspective, this kind of seamless 365, and again, we run small, tiny conferences, but we're always looking for speakers. It's a nightmare. So again, something that, the hot topic is automatically identified, you get the content, bugger, and then finally to the speaker. So in the interest of time, so we're going to ask you to vote. So first of all, Tim, if you could put the holding slide while and Matt, if you could play a little song. This is Matt's moment.
All right. I haven't been practicing. Is that enough?
Keep going. That's pretty good.
Do I have to?
That's
Can I
like
pass it to
that's
the
when the
doctor?
Saints go marching. How did you know? Keep going.
I don't know everything, Matt. You're going to have to do this one on your own.
Okay.
I'm going to switch seats for a sec.
Oh, you're going there. Okay, so we're ready. So we're back. Okay, so we want you to vote, and just to check this is working, if you can all possibly scan that one now, not that one over there. Scan that one, and then we've got a little quiz, a sort of tech quiz, and the winner will win some Waves swag or a stand-up paddleboarding session with Matt Coyne in Brighton.
Absolutely.
So we've got one player, Tanya, Marlon, Oliver. So scan that, just put your name in. Are you in, Lola? Come on, you can play too, Matt, because you haven't seen the questions. Katie, you have seen the questions, so you can't play. Participant time, it's going down. Okay, we're going to start the quiz. We've got 6 players. Sorry, it said, so question 1, and if you're quick, you get more points. So look at your device. How many bits in a byte? How many bits in a byte? Is it 6, 8, or 12? So look, so who are the players? Could you put your hand up if you're one of those 6 players? 3, 2, 1. Wow, let's see how tech. Oh, well done. I mean, 3 of you got it right, 3 of you got it wrong. Okay, moving swiftly on. Question 2. What's half a byte called? Is it called, so if it's 8 or half 8, it's 4, is it a quadrat, a quark, or a nibble? That's it. Thank you, Matt. So the answer is a nibble, and actually I fooled you with my made up quad words. Right, question 3, and then we'll actually get on to why we're really here. This is
This is just practice.
What is Matt Coyne's middle name? Is it John, Michael, Elliot, or River?
Accompanies waves, just to throw you off.
Time's up. The correct answer is John. Only one of you went for River, which, you know.
Disappointing.
Okay, so we're going to see the leaderboard. So the winner is Oyen Lola.
Yay.
Congratulations. Well done. So afterwards, come and see Matt. You will win some Waves swag. Okay, so now actually, really, I wanted you to see. So who would you vote for? So you're all now judges for our UFI Awards. So please vote on. Just let us know who you would.
If you haven't joined yet, you can still join now, I believe, right?
Okay.
If you scan the QR code.
We can do a show of hands. So if you haven't managed to log in, who would vote for the multiverse hybrid event? Anyone? Nul point. Who would vote for the floor marking robot? About 10. Who would vote for the 365 community platform from Ephemera? 3. Who would vote for the digital products from Cologne Messe? 4. Sandrine, I'm afraid you're not inside the circle, so your vote doesn't count. And last one, the QuestX dynamic content and marketing platform. I think Tanya voted twice. Okay, so actually the robot is the winner. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what your answer was. It sort of disappeared. Okay, so what year was the iPhone launched? Just filling time here. 2006, 2007, or 2008? So we might have a second winner. Matt might have to give 2 stand-up paddleboarding sessions.
I mean, if anyone's in Brighton and would like to go paddleboarding, I'll happily take you out. That's fine.
I can highly recommend it. He's a very good guide. Correct. 3 of you guessed the 2007. And the last question, before we... what was Google originally called? Was it called Backrub, Headrest, or Wander? And so for those of you in the audience that aren't on the thing, who thinks it's Backrub? Nobody. Who thinks it's Headrest? Nobody. So you all think it's Wander? Well, it was actually Backrub. You can Google it on Google. Right. So just the final result is sorry. Oyen Lola, you're still the winner, so we still only have to give 1 prize. Well done. Okay, Tim, can we go back to the main slide, please? Okay. I'm not sure that worked. But anyway, if we can go back to the main slide, well, the winner, the judges we voted was QuestX, the content community platform. So I guess that proves that the robot didn't send the right people to present. And just to talk a little bit, we've got like literally 2 minutes, just to give you an example of how they did that. So for example, here you can see, in fact, I'm going to scroll through again because we haven't got time. So one of their trade shows is around hospitality. They saw that hospitality loyalty searches, the loyalty programs, were up 35%. The search terms that were popping were loyalty, liability, travel, hospitality. And this was around IHG, Hyatt, Accor, Marriott, etc. So what did they do? They added a session about loyalty, liability in the conference at the show. They interviewed IHG and made them one of the lead newsletters on the website. Again, they now offer sponsorship programs around that and are sending special alerts around their marketing, which helps with their visitor. So, for me, that was, well, we did have quite a lot of debate in the group, but that sort of did edge out the winner. So that was it, really. I mean, we now just give us time to say that next year, 2024, it's open to the public. You don't need to be an UFI member. It doesn't cost anything. Please do enter. You're all, I'm sure, doing amazing work. So we'd love to hear what you've been up to. UFI.org/DI award. And then who knows, maybe this time next year we could be presenting you. Final word from Matt.
If people want to find out more about those entries that have submitted, can they find
Yes,
that
good
out
point.
on-
Actually, if you go to UFI.org/DI award, you can find all of the previous entries. They're all on the website. We have like a 1-hour webinar where you can hear them presenting in their own words. And just like to thank my panelists. Kate, any final word?
Nothing.
Nope.
I'll add a final word. It doesn't matter what type of organization you are, you should go and apply for these awards if you're doing something that you're excited about that's technology related. Anything related to the exhibition industry. Yeah.
Perfect. So thank you all for coming. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Mr. Jeremy Rees, CEO of Excel, for welcoming us in his wonderful venue.
Thank you, Nick. We have our 50-minute break before our next session at 1 o'clock, Technology for Conferences with Oliver Rowe from Venue IQ. So about 50 minutes back here for the next session. Thank you.